code examples, it provided information. Then we were voting. So as you can see, the cards have different colors. The most popular thoughts have been ranked. And we are all thinking together, the humans, the machines, we are all participating in this conversation, and we are trying to pinpoint, which thought is actually more valuable than the rest within the context of what we are trying to solve. You can vote like this, so you can say, oh, this thought was very good, and this one even better. So the more you like, the longer you press. It's very intuitive. Then you have a leaderboard. You have a leaderboard for all the participants in the space. And so that space has its own rights. So back to this access, I can decide who can access what. So it's on a space by space basis. So each space has its own conditions, and you can basically configure them.
That's cool. Do you can you plug in new models that come out? Because every day there's new models. I mean, I think yesterday Quen from China released 6 models, right? And yes. Is there a lot of flexibility of, there's a new model that does a new thing. Can I plug it into this?
Yes, so we try to provide as much as possible of support for non-developers. So if you are a developer, you can go faster. So we are trying to be as fast as we can to plug in all the AI resources of the world. We have currently something around, 700 models, frontier models, and you can pick among those. But if you know how to code, then you just take this key and then you start, building with your key. So you can literally, as long as you follow the protocol rules, you can run any model from anywhere.
That's cool. And, inside corporations, they often want to fine-tune models to do various things or use RAG or use these customization techniques to build like a system for a doctor's office or a system for an engineer or a system for a customer service. Do we have the flexibility of customizing or bringing in new data, building new models in this? Or
yes, so we are trying to keep models. Yeah. So first you can swap very easily between models because they all follow the same standard API. So it's very easy to swap. Everyone is using the OpenAI standard, including Google, Anthropic, all of them. We try to keep the interface very minimalistic, but once you hit a certain level of trust within the network and experience, so maybe, I think let's keep that for later. So okay. Once you get a certain level of trust, you have gained experience in the network, then we start to unlock more sophisticated features, also because you need a bit more data. So RAG, it's native right away when you enter, you can already use RAG. If you want to fine-tune or if you want to train reward models or RLHF, DPO, this kind of stuff, it's available, but it's a bit hidden on the interface because we don't want to, overwhelm new users when they arrive.
Yeah. What is your business model? How do you make money? Do we pay for this, or do we share revenues? How do you guys keep your business doors open?
Yeah, so the idea is to design it similar to how all those collective reward systems have been created. So if you take, for example, the music industry or TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, and so on, where you don't pay for each individual provider. So, if I go to the explore page, all those, people who created their little AI self, they will receive royalties proportional to their share of use within the network. Similar to, you don't pay each YouTuber, you pay YouTube one fee, and then they redistribute it to all the creators on a, pro rata basis. And we just take a small cut on that. So we redistribute instead of redistributing. I don't know how much the others do, but I know it's very low. We are planning to redistribute 95% of all the proceeds of all the memberships. So as a customer, with one membership, you get all the vendors, which is already you save already a lot of money. plus the ability to create your own mini AIs. You can create as many as you want, and you can create those group chats where you can invite multiple, team members and models. So you can have Grok and Gemini and Quen on the same chat, and they can read the same messages and they can share the same context, which is very powerful because you don't have to copy paste between different tabs and so on. It's all natively in the OS.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting because you can use them to check each other's answers or get involved in the conversation, and they each bring a different point of view because they've all been trained a little bit differently.
Yes.
A lot of people listening and me are trying to build businesses and sell things. How can I make a store with this? Sell T-shirts or sell widgets or whatever. And how would I collect money and transact with my customers?
So currently, the core use case, obviously AGI is you can do anything, right? Next year, we will likely start to get into the concept of AGUI, which is this idea that instead of trying to vibe code, you generate the app on the fly based on the request of the customer. So you will be able to spin up an e-commerce page just based on the prompt, things like that. But for now, the key use case is how do you multiply your time as a domain expert? So you are a domain expert, Robert.
Yeah.
You have probably tons of people flooding your DMs all the time. You cannot answer everyone. You cannot increase the amount of hours in one day. What if you could upload some of your mind into an AI and then give a link to that AI to all the people who want to ask you questions?
You're talking to the wrong person because they stole my mind.
Yeah, it's true. I checked that, and
I mean,
yeah,
if you start asking Grok or ChatGPT about me and how it knows everything about me, particularly Grok because I give it 220,000 posts, right, over 18 years. And it's actually a very powerful thing. Once you're on the other side, you realize, okay, your privacy is gone. I have no privacy. First of all, I'm a public figure. But second of all, it stole all my stuff to build the model. So I'm inside latent space. They call it. I'm inside the model, right? I'm built into the LLMs that are out there. And it's very powerful now because I could actually have I can write to Grok and say, build me a digital twin of Robert Scoble, and then build a digital twin of Elon Musk, and have the digital twin of Robert Scoble interview the digital twin of Elon Musk on the future of brain-computer interfaces, or anything you can come up with. And it's really amazing. It really is. It knows how I think. It knows what I talk about. It knows what I care about, right? It knows what I'm expert at. And a lot more, and it brings that into the interview, and it does a really good interview. I've done this with humans in front of them. Like Brett Bushnell is the son of the founder of Atari, and I had my digital twin interview his digital twin right in front of him about things we were just talking about, and it was exactly what we just talked about. I mean, right? And in fact, this is a powerful thing for AI agents, right? Because if you're trying to, let's say, buy a bottle of wine at a grocery store, well, you'd want a famous sommelier standing next to you, right? Or a chef, a famous chef and a sommelier. And that's sort of how people are building AI agents now, is with these, boards of experts. And if you pick the right expert to help your agent, it can really help the agent do things right for you. And I saw you enable that too. You can have roles and people and personas that you bring up, and now you can have Robert Scoble help run your company, which I don't recommend, but you can have Elon Musk help run your company, right? A digital twin of Elon Musk.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the challenge is the architecture was designed in a way that there is one model that has inside the weights everyone. So you can say, hey, I want to role play Robert Scoble, or I want to role play Elon Musk. But what if you could have this smaller model that you own, where you pour in all your knowledge, and you keep updating it all the time, and then it becomes a multiplier of your mind. Instead of being that machine that harvests everyone and you become their private property and now you have to pay to talk to your own knowledge, what if instead you would actually own it and then become a node in a network, and then each time someone wants to ask a question to your node, they have to basically pay some royalties, and everyone can live from that. Like kind of the music industry, you just like upload your songs and then you receive a report once a year with like, oh, I made some profit in Brazil and this country. Each one has like its own reporting system about how often your song is being played. Imagine that for human mental energy, for the mind. That's the vision.
Okay. It's a new world. I have a friend who's building a virtual being, and he's taking the virtual being, and the virtual being is building its own consciousness, its own memory of what it's done and who it's talked with. And I mean, it's a very powerful idea long term. Could I build something like that on this?
Well, so we will follow the progress of technology. We are not trying to innovate in the world of models because it's we are very horizontal and we are very unopinionated. So we are just going to aggregate all the best technologies as they come, and that will leverage the power of. We believe that the best models are not going to be models; they are going to be more systems of models, where you will want to use maybe QuanImage for image retouching. But even if you look at image generators, Nano Banana is good at some things, Midjourney is good at other things, and you have probably 70 different image models. Each one is good at something, like style transfer. Like if you want to turn yourself into an anime character, you might want to use another one. So each one is good, and so the real value is going to be very soon not in trying to create that model that's good at everything, but the ability to route into the best resource based on your, like there is a whole challenge here to understand the intent and to hire the right, specialized models to accomplish the job. And that's where we don't want to do that, and also being vertically trying to build models.
Yeah. It's a new world. Where else what kinds of questions should I be asking? Because I'm not a nerd. I'm not.
And I hope it's not too complex or technical, but
No, this is clear. I can handle what you've been talking about. So I think everybody.
Yeah, I think so. The other part that I wanted to talk about was reward is enough. So it's a paper from the reinforcement learning community, which posits that if you want to reach very high levels of artificial intelligence, you don't want necessarily to create the best models, but you want to reward the models. You want to give them rewards for doing good things, and as they seek the reward, they will readjust themselves in order to achieve that reward. And so that's the theory of Richard Sutton and all those like pioneers in reinforcement learning. And now it's becoming very important, and we have actually modeled this for both humans and machines. So we have created a whole reward mechanism, which is a gamified point system, where all the participants in the ecosystem are trying to gain weight within the network. So maybe we can talk about this, and then probably the future, like how the future looks like.
Yeah. Rewards gets me thinking of robots, because that's how they're training the robots, right? To walk upstairs. If you give it the right rewards, it learns, right?
Yes.
In reinforcement learning.
Yes.
I guess we need systems like that out on the web as well. It's a new world. It's a new world to think about. Could I build a system that also controls my computer, and I can go into my Microsoft Excel and click on buttons and do pivot tables and then bring data back out to this? Is it that flexible where I could build that kind of utility here?
So this is not something we have implemented in the product because others are doing it very well, and it's something that we believe is going to be very hard to achieve and is not going to last very long. Because if you think about it, like what's easier to try to interface with the internet, try to bypass the limitations of pretending to being a human. Because, if you try to run an agent on X, your agent will likely get your account banned by X. They all have detection against bots, against agents.
Yeah.
And it's very hard, agents have to look at the page, take a screenshot of the page, try to move a bit like the mouse, but they are not humans. They are not they don't have those motor capabilities that we have. So it's very hard for them to navigate the internet. So we believe currently big AI labs are spending billions of dollars trying to interface on the internet. We believe that the future is to actually replace the internet and create an internet of minds, having directly your mind plugged to my mind. And we don't need all those complex interfaces. If we have the need for an interface, it will generate itself in front of our eyes as we speak. And so then it means you just have this giant nervous system where everyone is interconnected. So that's what we are focusing on because it's a long-term journey, and we want to have the rails set up early on so that as we move towards this new paradigm, we will have already the foundations in place to make it happen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so on the reward, maybe I can show you a bit
that'd be fun.
Watts. So on iOS, we have that concept called the watts. Watts, back to what we were talking about earlier, it's all about mental energy. Your brain consumes 10 watts to generate 20 quadrillion calculations, synaptic firings. So it's extremely energy efficient. The brain is extremely powerful. The human brain is way more efficient than any machine. We have here the equivalent of 1 million computers. And so the question is, how do we measure that? How do we measure so we kind of took, it's a bit like a funny take on it, but what if we would measure the watts not based on how much it consumes, but based on how much value it adds? And so the watts is based on this, so I can basically collect network and experience and loyalty, kind of like in a video game. And all the simulators that I created, they all have their own watts. So they are all competing on the arena of having as many watts as possible. Why does this model exist? First, it defines the level of trust. So if I type a prompt now in this box and I say, what is decentralized AI? And if I choose the swarm mode, give examples of protocols, I press enter. The inference is not going to go to one model, to one big model. What's happening is you will have many SIMs, many agents, many AI, many tools being brought into a swarm. And they will coordinate, they will try to hire each other, think together, work together, give feedback, and so on. They will write their own code, whatever they need to achieve their goal. If they need to write a Python script, they will pull data from a RAG. They will debate. Sometimes they debate, sometimes they think. Instead of having that thinking model that thinks for 5 minutes by itself, now you have this diversity. You have Grok asking a question to DeepSeek and so on. And now the response is the result of that. So now I can trace back all the interactions that happen. Each one has a reputation. So this one has 33 watts. This one has 42. So the trust between them is an emergent property of their watts, similar to what we do with humans.
Yeah.
If you want to trust someone, are you a real doctor? Do you have, credential as a doctor? Are you really that doctor? So we use ID cards, we use degrees, we use all sorts of things to coordinate in society.
Yeah.
Agents have an identity and they have this Watt score that lives on the blockchain, where they don't have to trust an institution because the blockchain is guaranteeing. Bitcoin is $1 trillion asset that doesn't have any company because everything is guaranteed by cryptography. There is no humans who have the keys. So that's very important for us that there is this credible neutrality. And so they can trust each other based on the watts. And the truthfulness, the relevance of each output is estimated based on the watts. So that's the first use of watts. The second one is back to this idea of, there is a share, there is a share of kind of like in the music, of the royalties of the entire platform. The more watts you have, the more of the shares you receive. So it's fair, everyone has a chance to contribute. It's an open ecosystem, but you need to gain trust from the other nodes in the network, and that gives you access to rewards. But the thing that's really exciting about the watts is this paper I was talking about earlier from Richard Sutton and David Silver about, it's a paper called Reward is Enough. And so the idea is that in order to build highly capable AI systems, maybe the right approach is not to try to design intelligence, to try to invent the best algorithms and train the best models. Maybe the solution